Okay, we're back on, and we just got done talking about brackets and dictionaries and stuff like that. So now we're going to go to prefixes and suffixes. Okay.
Let's see how Total Eclipse handles prefixes and suffixes. Fixes and suffixes. Your Steno dictionary probably includes common prefixes to hook onto a following word and suffixes to hook onto a previous word. Eclipse does a great job of adjusting spellings as it adds prefixes and suffixes, but please remember, it will only adjust the spellings if braces surround both the delete space symbol and the prefix or suffix text. Eclipse will not automatically adjust spellings if only the delete space symbol is within braces. Eclipse comes with a prefixes and suffixes kit with a dictionary that includes several hundred entries. All you have to do is decide whether you want to use the steno that is given as an example, or press the Enter key to get inside and change the steno to something that you know you would write. The documentation shows how these prefixes and suffixes, added to common root words, could help translate uncommon words beautifully. Much more could be said about prefixes and suffixes, but this is the subject of a separate in-depth ePower video tutorial, which shows you step by step how to take advantage of the prefixes and suffixes kit.
All right. Kind of a lot of information in there, but good stuff. Did you understand it? I'm going to go through it again and kind of hit the high points or whatever, so.
Let's see how Total Eclipse handles prefixes and suffixes. Suffixes. Your Steno dictionary.
Okay, like I was telling you earlier, when it's a prefix, you have to know that it always goes in the brackets, and it's going to tell you that in just a bit. When you don't put it in the brackets and put the caret, which means to close it, put it together with any word. So the next word, regardless of what it is, it's going to know to put it with it. Okay? So you have to write it like this for it to know that it's going to be a prefix. Okay? And you have to write it like this when you know that it's going to be a suffix. So with the S, it's going to know to put S, ES, IES, any of those. All you have to do is put S. It already knows what to do. Same thing, you know, with the D is ED. Sometimes it's IED on hurried. You know, it's IED. It already knows to change the Y to I, put the ED. Okay? So you don't have to overthink this thing. All right? Just remember what you need to put. S, suffix, ing, suffix, ed, pre. You know, and it'll even know like how to change it on. Oh, I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank right now. But anyway, this is the way you do it. And it's going to know how to do it already. Okay?
Probably includes common prefixes to hook onto a following word and suffixes to hook onto a previous word. Eclipse does a great job of adjusting spellings as it adds prefixes and suffixes. But please remember, it will only adjust the spellings if braces surround both the delete space symbol and the prefix or suffix text.
Did y'all get that? It's only going to know what to do if you have the brackets in the correct place. If you don't have the brackets in the correct place and it's not coming up right, that's why. It's not going to come up right. So if it's not coming up right, you put the brackets in the wrong place. Okay? That's what it's saying.
Eclipse will not automatically adjust
it's not going to know what you're trying to do here. Okay? So it may do something really I don't even know what it'll do if you define it like that, but it's not gonna do probably what you want it to do because you defined it wrong, okay? So it has to be inside the brackets with the correct thing, with the caret in the correct place, okay? So say you put the ED and you put the caret over here, now it's going to put it as a prefix, and you wanted it as a suffix, okay? So you have to be careful about the way that you define it, guys, okay? Brackets are very important.
Spellings if only the delete space symbol is within braces. Eclipse comes with a prefixes and suffixes kit with a dictionary that includes several hundred entries.
So you can go into your dictionary, into the prefix suffixes, and fix all of them. So if you want to change them, adjust them, do whatever, you know, because you do it a little bit differently, or maybe you put the you put it a little bit differently for, you know, MENTS. Maybe you put PLTZ. I don't know. Maybe that's how you do it. I don't know. But I mean, you do it differently because it just feels better to stroke it that way. I don't really care how you do it. But if you want to go through and change it, this is how you do it. Okay?
All you have to do is decide whether you want to use the steno that is given as an example, or press the Enter key to get inside and change the steno.
And that's the way you do it. You press the steno if you want to change the steno, text if you want to change the text, and it tells you what you want to do. So it brings up this little thing. Really, I mean, you can do the letters of the, you know, or you can just type the letters on your keyboard, I mean on your computer, and they'll come up here, okay?
To something that you know you would write. The documentation shows how these prefixes and suffixes, added to common root words, could help translate uncommon words beautifully.
You understand what it's trying to say right there? Yes. No. No. Okay. Say you have planarian right here. Well, that's your stroke for plane also. So you can stroke it as plane and put it in there as maybe as a conflict or something like that. You know, that it's going to be planarian. Okay? Same thing with best, ape, rip, gram, words it. I mean, you probably could use anyway on its own, and it can stand on its own. Does that make sense? Okay.
Much more could be said about prefixes and suffixes, but this is the subject of a separate in-depth ePower video tutorial which shows you step by step how to take advantage of the prefixes and suffixes kit.
Any questions about that? Long pause. No. Here they're just kind of giving you some examples of some stuff that could stand on its own, could be prefixes, suffixes, and how, you know, you can, how you're going to define them. You know, when you have like grapher, photographer, any grapher, then that's the way you would do it. You know, if you want to stroke it differently. I mean, I don't know when grapher would ever stand on its own. It's always going to be with something. You know what I'm saying?
In the printing industry, a grapher. back when papers were rolled out, when the typeset was set manually and
Like on a
pages
clay.
were cranked out. It's an old term for the way newspapers used to be printed.
A grapher?
The person who actually picks the letters and
Oh, yeah.
that was a grapher, and then the telegrapher, back when you had
Yeah.
click, click, SOS, all that.
Telegrapher,
Yeah,
photographer, videographer.
and now sometimes when people do calligraphy,
Hmm.
they do call them a grapher.
So if for some reason, you know that it's not going to stand alone, okay? So you know that it's going to, it's probably going to be a suffix of another word, then, you can add it to the word, and that's the way that you do it, with the caret, telling it that it's going to, add on to another word, okay? Here it's kind of telling you, did you want to write resume? Because re is a prefix. So you write it as a prefix. Here they have it as a suffix. But, if you want to do like resume, resumption, any of that, is resumption a word?
Yeah, the resumption of the whatever.
Of the videographer.
Well, no, the resumption of the of the meeting started at blah.
Yes, yes. So if you wanted to, it would be on this side. It would be on the other side, and it would be RE, not RY. Okay? So, if you know that there's a word in there that can stand alone or that you can use as a prefix suffix, define it as a prefix suffix, and then you can also define it as the word. Okay? So it would be resume, if that's the way you do it. Some people, stroke that as assume, also. So reassume.
You reassume a note.
That too.
No, I'm talking about a mortgage note. When you reassume it.
Yeah, that's correct. So, you can do it. So, and that's the way that you do it. So it just kind of gives you some different examples of how to use and define stuff to put more entries into your dictionary. Okay? Any questions? Okay, that's what I was trying to remember. When it's going to be like ER, OR, any of that stuff, all you have to do is define it as ER. Operator, any of that stuff. It's going to know how to change it and that it needs to be changed to OR. So you don't have to put OR. Okay?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. All you have to do is put, I do it a little bit differently. I put operate tor, T-O-R. So, it's not necessarily going to work there, but if you put operate ER, then it's going to know to change it to OR if that's what it needs to be. Okay? You don't have to define it as OR. All you have to do is define it as ER. It automatically, with the auto intelligence, is going to know it's not spelled with ER, it's spelled with OR. Okay? Any questions? Here's another example of stacking. Right here. You see what they were trying to do?
Something
Hello?
being the
Like thing?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out like where. I see the TG, but like where's the sentence to go with it?
The TG. Well, and it's not. They didn't really give a sentence. They just meant I'm moving the chair. So move and TG was together, and then chair is down here.
Okay.
So it needed to be ing with moving the, and then chair is down here, for example. Okay? So that's what they were trying to do. So if you stack it, that's how you define it, right here. But if you use TG as something else, maybe a brief, maybe it means a word for you, I don't know. You know, but you stack it with something else, then you want to be careful how you do it right there. Okay? But if you don't, I don't know in the other theory, if you use things that would stack or, you know, whatever, and if it's going to mean something else, then you want to be careful about putting it in your main dictionary. Okay? But if not, then that's the way you do it. Same thing with adding the prefix S to the last word right before you hit the Q. Okay? Well, he asked a lot of questions. Question, yes, he did. What did he ask you? You understand by that example what I'm trying to say? He asked a lot of questions. There was a question here with a final S. Should have gone with question. Hit the question, talking to the guy that was asking the questions, and then he goes on. But that's the way that you're going to define it. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? I don't know what they were trying to do there. But if that's the way you stroke United States with the question, why or when or why or you would ever do that, then that's how you do it. Okay? Any questions? And here they're just giving you examples of how you would do it. Okay? This is the correct way to do it. And see how they did pre, pond, ants. Preponderance. If you want to do it that way, fantastic. If you don't, then you just do the PP or the PPD for preponderance of the evidence. Okay? That makes sense? But if you're going to stroke it out, then do it like this. Because pre is always going to be a prefix. Pond can always stand on its own as a pond. Is a suffix, so you define it as a suffix. And then ants is usually always going to be a suffix too. Okay? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different entries in your dictionary for one word. Okay? Make sense? And that's what they're doing right here. They're just kind of giving you an example of how to do it right here. Okay? So what would you do to global it?
Control G.
Right there. It's the first example. Right there. Okay? Well, it doesn't really know what you're trying to do. So it gives you 8 examples of what maybe they thought you were trying to do. But you wanted it as a prefix. Number 1, enter, there he goes. You see it? Same thing with right here. How do you global it?
G.
G, same thing. Number 1, you want it in your main dictionary, so it's already there. But if you don't, you come right here, open that. You can put it in a job dictionary, which is a job dictionary. Control J changes that to Control J instead of Control M. Control M is main job dictionary. Control T is a trash dictionary. So you have a lot of different dictionaries that you can use. But you want it in your main, enter, and it puts it together. Okay? Same thing with the ER. Now you've come to a suffix. It knows that it's a suffix, or Could be something else. I don't know what they're trying to do there, but whatever. But you know that it's number 1. Press number 1, enter, there you go. Okay? Now right here, what they were trying to do you know what they were trying to do? Judging from. Judging from. So you do Control G, and it gives you the example right here. Number 1, you put the suffix with another word together. But maybe you meant to stroke frog, and you left out the G. Maybe, maybe not. Well, you could still put this in your dictionary if you do this from time to time, or if you never stack, then you don't want to put it in your dictionary, because then it's going to come up like this when maybe you always drop your O when you're trying to hit frog, or occasionally drop the O when you're trying to hit frog. Okay? I don't know. I'm just giving you different examples of what could happen. Okay? But this is going to be the more likely example of what's going to happen. Okay? And that's what they're trying to do right here. You push number 1, it already puts it in there for you, the bracket, caret, ing, bracket, and the next word from. From doesn't have to be in the bracket. You don't want it in the bracket because it doesn't go with the ing. It stands alone by itself. So you don't need it in the bracket. You don't need a space in between the bracket either. It already knows with that bracket that it's already going to put a space. So you don't need to put a space. Make sense? You hit enter, it already does it for you. See? Same thing down here. You know what they were trying to do there?
That pretending and posturing. Judging,
That.
pretending and posturing.
That.
Pretending and posture that will not make the
Posturing. That.
Okay.
See, they stacked it together.
Okay.
Pretending and posturing that will not make their duties any easier.
Oh.
You see what they were trying to do there? Okay? So you push Control G, it knows that that's what you were trying to do. Or did you mean dadding? Maybe. Or, you know, any of these other things. It always just kind of thinks ahead. It doesn't always kind of give you, I don't even know what a dadding is. Maybe it is a word. I have no idea. But maybe somebody was saying, well, you know what, quit dadding that thing. Quit dadding that paper that you wrote. And maybe you put a bunch of that's in there. Quit dadding it. I don't know. Anywho.
You would have to go to New Orleans for that to make sense.
Holla. All right? What they meant right there, number 1, already knows to put it in there. So, let me go back. It won't do it. So it had posture, P-O-S-T-U-R-E, T-H-A-T-G together. So it was posturing. Well, you don't have to do anything with the E. It already knows to drop the E, puts the ing. You don't have to do anything with it. Okay? That was kind of why I wanted to go back and just show you that. Any example on that? Excellent.
Occasionally, you'll need to add a prefix or suffix while editing. You can click on a toolbar icon or open the Edit menu to insert a prefix or suffix, or press Hyperkey W. At this dialog, G is a shortcut menu to insert a prefix, or you can click on a toolbar icon or open the Edit menu to insert a prefix or suffix,
You see what it's trying to do there? That's the long way of doing it. But if you want to do it, you can. Okay? Go to Edit, drops down, Insert, opens another box, prefix, suffix, Control K. Long way around, guys. Long way around. So you've already spent about a minute, minute and a half trying to put a suffix or a prefix on a word. Time is money. Work smarter, not harder. Okay? So in hyperkeys, what's the hyperkey for prefix suffix? Does anyone know?
W.
Excellent. You get to leave early. Not really. But it's W. So W brings up a box of prefixes and suffixes. You pick the one you want. Eclipse pretty much tries to use the letters that coincide with what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to add an ED, it's D. If you're trying to make it plural, it's S for ES, IES, any of those, okay? And I'll kind of open it up and I'll show you here in just a bit of the different examples. It may show you here, but we'll see.
Or press hyperkey W. At this dialog, G is...
And this is what they give you. So when you open it up, it's already going to kind of know where you're trying to go with it. So they're trying to coincide with the letter that you're trying to do. Okay? Makes sense? A is usually A-B-O-Y. Sometimes it's I-B-O-Y. But most of the time it's going to be A-B-O-Y. So they put the A for B-O-Y. Okay? Make sense? To me it does. The B is B-L-E. A-B-L-E, I-B-L-E, any of that stuff. But they do it with B to try to make it easier for you to remember. See why? D is for ED, and S is for plural, or ES, any of that stuff. Okay?
the shortcut. And this time I'll use the shortcut D. And of course these suffixes were added with the proper spelling adjustments.
Did you see that? Let me go back.
With the proper spelling adjustments. And of course...
So you had it where it was...
And this time I'll use the...
You see how they have it right here? It's just occur. But all he did was put the D. It already put... It knows to put the extra R and the ED. So you don't have to put any of that stuff. It already knows to do it. Okay? Now sometimes, and I'll tell you this, if you've already added like the wrong prefix or suffix, say you wanted wanting, and you put wants, and it's W-A-N-T-S. Well, you know what? I want to change it. So you put the cursor on W of the word. Push W in hyperkeys, gives you the prefix suffix, and you push G for ing. Sometimes it'll change it. Most of the time it will. Every now and then it'll add it to the end of the word. So now you have S, ing, wanting. Most of the time it'll change it right. It knows to do it right. But if you don't take off the suffix that's there, sometimes it'll add it on to it. Most of the time it knows what you're going to do, and it'll do it correctly. So don't freak out if it does it. You know, it's no big deal. All that means is that you just didn't erase the suffix that was there or whatever, and it didn't know exactly what you were trying to do. Because sometimes maybe you wanted to put wantings. I don't even know if that's a word. But say you wanted to put wantings. Well, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. So you put it on want, push push W, brings up the prefix suffix, push G, puts want. Put your cursor back on of want, press W again, the letter, opens up the prefix suffix, you add S, and it puts the INGS. See what I'm saying? Instead of having to, cursor over to the end, push in to get out of hyperkeys, put the letter S, enter, go back into hyperkeys, all of that stuff. You can do it all through this. And I'll show you in just a bit. I'll see if I can do that. But do y'all understand what I'm saying? Kinda? Okay. You in the back.
30 minutes.
Huh? I'm gonna turn off the recorder